So good evening friends. This side Rahul Magan here is a Group Chief Executive Officer Treasury Consulting and also a venture capitalist. I don't know how many of you are reading one business newspaper a day and how many of you are actually tracking the movement of the Indian corporate. But if you are tracking the movement of the Indian corporate, you would get to know that there is a pretty wrong thing which is happening in the system. I'm not talking about the non-performing asset. I'm not talking about the convergence between the credit rating and the corporate. I'm not talking that credit rating agencies are taking money from corporates. We have seen in case of ILFS when credit rating ICRA has asked his managing director to go, and we do have speculation that he accepted the bungalow from ILFS people. But anyways, today I am going to talk about something different which is coming almost every day in the paper. Yes, I absolutely understand that the world is moving from zero interest rate policy to the negative interest rate policy. I also agree that around $19 trillion, $19 trillion out of the total investable surplus of roughly $39 trillion is under NIRP. I also agree that even the sovereign wealth funds are forced to invest in a negative yield asset. But at the same point of time, Indian corporates are doing a lot of mistakes. First, they are taking the dollar funding in the books. So we went to Google and got to know that Adani wanted to raise $2 billion for whatever their working capital requirements and also to refinance their high cost debt. Apparently speaking, there is a news which is coming that the three top, which is Jio, Vodafone and Airtel, together they need around 30 billion US dollars. 30 billion, which is 30,000 billion. So together they need 30 billion US dollars if they wanted to go ahead with the 5G auction, auction of the 5G spectrum. But there is a conflicting news which is coming, which is that Vodafone financially is not prepared. And unfortunately, in a very low voice, Vodafone acknowledged to an extent that the integration between the Idea and the Vodafone not went very well, and apparently post integration almost every month Vodafone is losing client at a very faster pace, which is not good for both, for Vodafone as well as Idea. If together the telecom sector need $30 billion, then one side Mr. Ambani claims that he would be, in fact he has already given the contradictory statement. One side Mr. Ambani is saying that he would be debt free by March 2021. How it would be, I don't know. Another side he's saying that after March 21 the company will start spending on the main petrochemical and the chemical business and the capex. God knows from where the money will come. We went to Google and got additional information, which is that IndusInd Bank already raised $400 million this year, while SBI, the most innovative banker of the globe, raised $1.25 billion, while GMR Hyderabad, basically Hyderabad Airport unit, raised around $300 million US dollar, while RE Power, which is basically in the renewables, is already raised $700 billion. If I add 2 billion of Adani, and if I add Airtel, who hired almost 7 investment bankers, 7 investment bankers Airtel hired, whereby they wanted to raise what? 750 to $1 billion. Take it 1 billion as a flat note. Together, these few companies raised around $5 billion in the last few months. RBI balance sheet is already in negative, which is the net international investment position, NIIP, which is the difference between the FX assets and the FX liability, is already over $200 billion negative. Since Raghuram Rajan, then came the Urjit Patel, and then came now Mr. SD. Now Urjit Patel is out of action. He is not giving any statement in the media. He is literally out of action. I think he is on the vacation. Anyways, this happens. So the Indian companies, those who are raising dollar denominated funding, would have following implications in short. We are not making this video little longer in the interest of time. Number one, rupee, which is already depreciating, would continue to depreciate if Indian companies will raise more money. The net international investment position, NIIP, would again be negative. It is already $200 billion, and if the Indian companies will continue to raise the money, it would have serious implication on NIP, while our paid and sold media would always worry about the FX assets. Their education level is reached to a level when they do not know that there is something known as FX liabilities as well. Alternatively speaking, the onshore offshore spread, non-deliverable spread would widen, that's for sure, and I'm damn sure that the best treasuries in India like RIL would surely take an advantage of that. In fact, while shooting a video, I'm sure they would be taking an advantage of that. More importantly, a well would happen, which is the benchmark pricing adjustment, BPA. Now we know that the world is moving from LIBOR to risk-free reference rate. We have 6 candidates in the list. The latest one to join is the ESTR, which is Euro short-term rate. Euro short-term rate ESTR trading already started from October 2019. We are evaluating, soon we'll have a video. Now one cake is to be divided into the six brothers and sisters. We really need to see how the BPA benchmark pricing adjustment will happen. Moreover, the recent recommendation from the Brettel group to ISDA on the fallback has might not accept it, but the final decision will come in January 2020, which is practically 3 to 4 months from now. Considering everything which is happening around, when the fallback language is not yet decided, when they have even not decided who would be the final candidate for RFR by ARRC, Alternative Rate Reference Committee, we do not know out of 6 who would be the final in terms of ranking. If Indian companies continue to raise this money, then eventually over the period of the time it would have an impact of BPA in their books, and this impact of BPA would be severe. In fact, Goldman, JP and all another leading bankers, they are pretty serious and worry about how the fallback language will play their role. We don't know. But in fact, I don't know, because the Brettel group recommendation is not pretty clear as far as the fallback language is concerned. If we raising money in LIBOR today, first of all, which either it should be the Euro LIBOR, but God knows they are taking in LIBOR. If they are taking in LIBOR, then most importantly, once the transition would happen, then it would seriously have a fallback implication in the books of Indian corporate. But I know that none of the media people would have that session wherein they would warn Indian corporates to think about the fallback language. This is what we wanted to shoot, to let you know that in the last 6 months around over $5 billion in line, or a lot of already raised, and approximately 5 billion already more or less to be raised, and that too by the few groups. And we need to wait for the Reserve Bank of India data that how much total dollar remittance is raised outside India. And before winding up this video, we should not forget that FCNR, foreign currency non-resident flow, is basically is getting down in India, considering the fact that Federal Reserve will not cut the rate due to political pressure, which I'm sure they won't, because it's a very professionally run central bank, and they are not going to be undue pressure from the Trump. Well, God knows Trump will come or not, but we need to wait and watch. A lot of action on the cards, and it's good to see that Indian companies are raising dollar denominated bonds. This tells me one thing very clearly, that the Treasury Department of even the best known Indian companies are worthless. Because my Treasury recommendation, if today you are raising money on LIBOR, you are an idiot. Because fallback language has not yet decided, and the world is moving toward LIBOR transition. And even if I assume today, which is 2nd October, the fallback language will get decided. Even if I assume that the fallback language will get decided, then ISDA need time to put this in Master Service Agreement 2006. So today, 2nd October, I assume that I got an email or an alert or some kind of web response from ISDA that we agreed to go ahead with the fallback language suggested by the Brettel group for a minute. Then ISDA need to revise this in the Master Service Agreement 2006, and that revision will surely take time. It's not 1-2 day job. And then you need to send this to your clients. Basically, you will send to banks, which includes JP, HSBC, Bank of America, Goldman, and everyone. Then this 2006 agreement would have multiple interpretation issue, because an iBanker like Goldman would look it differently, while a hardcore interbank people like Chase and Citi, they would look it differently. And finally it come to client, which is Genpact, Reliance, L&T, TCS, Google, Microsoft and all. And their Treasury Department do not have any competence on the fallback language. Do not. Since they do not have any competence on the fallback language, they take substantial amount of time. I tell you the internal fact that Indian treasuries have that level of competence that even if you let them know that you need to read this ISDA, they take almost 3 to 4 months to finalize it because they don't know. They open Google, learn whatever XYZ YouTube videos, then in that they will take up a call. So raising dollar funding at that point of time is inviting trouble. But I know that Treasury Department is not competent, henceforth these kind of things would continue to happen. With this, we thank you very much. You know my mobile number, +91, which is 9899242978. You know our fixed income platform, www.fixedincome.global. If you really think that I need a video course and I wanted to learn via video, then don't forget that Treasury Consulting Video Academy, which is TRFX, is on the way. Treasury Consulting is launching the video courses, and this would have 4 series. Free series, which is for all, basic series, exotic series, advanced series, exotic series, and clientele series. We are working hard to be an Amazon in video. Amazon in video. I assure you, the way Amazon created Amazon Prime, Netflix, we have now Apple TV. Similarly, on the same front, Treasury Consulting coming up their own video platform. But this time it is FX, legal, intellectual property right, and so many things. Stay tuned and talk soon.